The abandoned asylum of St. Catherine stood like a sentinel on the outskirts of town. Once a place of torment and suffering, it now attracts the curious and the brave. A team of seasoned paranormal investigators, led by Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne, had gathered with a shared purpose: to unravel the mysteries of St. Catherine's and shed light on the souls that still lingered within its walls. The team consisted of Dr. Hawthorne, an expert in the occult and the supernatural, Daniel, a tech-savvy researcher who could handle an electronic equipment, Sarah, a gifted medium with a talent for communicating with spirits, and Jonathan, a skeptical journalist seeking to document the expedition for the world to see. As they approached the asylum, Sarah's nerves began to fray. She could feel the pull of the other side, the thinning wheel between the living and the dead. Despite her abilities, even she was not prepared for the intensity of energy emanating from the forsaken building. Inside the asylum, the air was heavy with despair, and the walls seemed to whisper haunting secrets. The team set up their equipment, each member bracing themselves for the unknown. The investigation began, and Sarah guided them through the asylum, trying to establish a connection with the spirits that still roamed the desolate halls. At first, they encountered nothing more than eerie noises and fleeting shadows. But as the night wore on, the encounters intensified. The investigators saw apparitions of former patients, their tortured souls eternally trapped with the asylum's walls. Sarah attempted to communicate with them, offering words of solace and compassion, but some spirits were too consumed by the suffering to acknowledge her presence. As they ventured deeper into the asylum, Daniel's equipment started to malfunction, and the air grew colder with every step. It became clear that the barrier between the living and the dead was weakening, and the team was caught in the crossfire. Terrifying visions of their own past traumas started to haunt them, and their fears showed before their eyes. Dr. Hawthorne, the pillar of strength for the team, found herself confronted by the ghost of her deceased daughter, who had tragically passed away years ago. Guilt and grief overwhelmed her as she struggled to distinguish between reality and the supernatural manifestations. Jonathan, the ever-skeptical journalist, was tormented by the spirit of his estranged father, his long-buried emotions bubbling to the surface. In the middle of chaos, Sarah's physical abilities grew stronger. She sensed that the spirits were trying to communicate not only their pain and suffering, but also a message of warning. The asylum held a dark secret, and that had been buried for decades, and the spirits were desperate to have their story told. As Sarah delved into the spirit world, she connected with a powerful entity that seemed to be holding the spirits captive. Its malevolence was noticeable, and it sought to exploit the team's fears and weaknesses, feeding on their distress to grow stronger. Sarah knew that if they didn't find a way to break free, they would be trapped in the nightmarish realm forever. Gathering her strength, Sarah confronted the malevolent entity. With the support of her team, who had learned to lean on one another for strength, she tapped into their latent powers and pushed back against that dark force. As they stood united, the veil between the worlds began to mend, and the spirits found solace and release. In the final act of defiance, the malevolent entity unleashed a tempest of terror, threatening to ensnare the team in the eternal darkness. But Sarah, driven by her determination to protect her friends and to uncover the asylum's secrets, unleashed a powerful surge of physical energy that banished the malevolent force back to the shadows from whence it came. As the first light of dawn illuminated the asylum, the team emerged from the ordeal changed but alive. They had faced their fears and confronted their past traumas, emerging stronger than ever. The experience had bonded them in a way that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. They had fulfilled their mission not only as paranormal investigators, but also as compassionate souls willing to help the lost spirits find peace. The story of Saint Catharines and the Lost Souls expedition would be etched into their memories forever, a reminder of the fragility of the barrier between the living and the dead, and the courage it takes to confront the darkness that lies beyond the veil.